In my personal journey to understand the human condition, I've watched countless debates between materialists and creationists, and one theme keeps resurfacing: the problem of evil. If God exists and He is good, why does evil exist? Materialists often argue, a benevolent God cannot exist when there is so much evil in the world. Creationists counter, but if God doesn't exist, you cannot even define evil. And that raises the bigger question: what do we mean by morality? Objective morality says moral truths exist independently of human opinions or cultures. Murder is wrong, rape is wrong, always, everywhere. Subjective morality, on the other hand, is defined by societies or individuals. If my community decides something is right, then for us it is right. But here's the problem. If morality is purely subjective, one society may forbid murder and rape while another permits them. Neither can judge the other, because both are simply following their own rules. Now let me ask you, would you ever agree that child molestation is morally acceptable? Of course not. And yet, without an objective moral authority, someone could claim there's nothing wrong with it. Some even try to normalize it today. If society passes a law making it legal, then by subjective standards, it becomes moral. But we all know in our hearts, legality does not equal morality. Objective truths are universal. They apply to all people, in all places, at all times. Subjective truths are local. They only apply to the individual or culture that accepts them. If morality is truly objective, it must come from a source beyond human culture, from a perfect authority who conceived moral law itself. That authority, by definition, cannot be the author of evil. So when humans disobey, the fault is ours, not God's. It makes no sense to deny God's existence because people violate the very principles He gave us. Take the Holocaust. Nazi Germany under Adolf Hitler murdered over 6 million Jews and countless others. For 5 years, this evil spread unchecked. But when the Allies finally intervened, they didn't just end the war. They put Nazi leaders on trial at Nuremberg. And here's the key. These men defended themselves by saying, "We were following orders. We live by our society's moral code." If morality were subjective, that defense would stand. But the world knew better. The prosecutors declared that there exists a law above the law of nations, an objective moral standard. And by that standard, the Nazis were guilty of crimes against humanity. That moment in history makes it crystal clear. Morality cannot be merely subjective. So why do materialists still insist morality evolve with culture? They argue that communities developed moral codes over time for survival, and those codes shifted as needs changed. But here's the problem with that view. If morality were just a cultural invention, it would vary wildly. Yet across history, in every society, certain principles hold constant. At no point in time was murder ever celebrated as good. At no point was rape embraced as a virtue. Why not if morality is purely subjective? Because deep down, we know these principles are universal. They didn't evolve by accident. They were placed there from the beginning. People often say, to each his own. But when his own harms your own, suddenly everyone demands accountability. Why? Because we know instinctively that morality is not subjective. It applies to everyone. Would you take your family to live in a nation where child molestation is legal? Of course not. And if morality is truly objective, you're already admitting there must be an objective moral authority. So when materialists say, the presence of evil proves God doesn't exist, they're actually borrowing from the very framework they reject. The very concept of evil requires a universal moral law, and a universal moral law requires a universal moral lawgiver. In other words, they strengthen the case for creation while trying to deny it. That's why understanding paradigms is so important. When the worldviews are clearly defined, it becomes much easier to dismiss what doesn't hold up and to embrace the one that does. Share your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe to my channel, and share this video with your friends. We discuss this and so much more in my book, Deconstructing Agnosticism, my journey to faith through the maze of science, philosophy, and theology. Available now on Amazon.